Good morning, everybody. See everyone slowly arriving.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, welcome. Hey, Will, how's it going? It's nice to see you. We'll just give it a couple more minutes while we wait for everyone to arrive. Happy Purpose in Business Week. All right. And we'll just give it another couple more minutes. Oh, I see James and Kiersten on my screen. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good to see you.
Morning.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, good afternoon from Winnipeg.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going?
Everything's good. Just trying to stay warm, you know.
Yeah, I know. I said this morning I couldn't believe how cold it was, and my oldest looked at me and said, "Mom, it's the end of November in Winnipeg. Like, what did you expect?"
Right?
Like, hello.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get going. This is going to be a fun session today. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon and good evening to all of you who are joining us from outside of the Pacific Coast in British Columbia, Canada today. My name is Tessa Vanderkop, and I'm the Social Purpose Strategist with the United Way BC Social Purpose Institute. I'd like to start by acknowledging and expressing gratitude to our hosts, although we are meeting virtually. The lands that we are on today are on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. In particular, acknowledgement and gratitude to the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh that are Indigenous to the Pacific Northwest Coast, where I'm signing in from today. I'd also like to express thanks and deep gratitude for the land where I live with my family, which is in Ravenwoods, an incredible Tsleil-Waututh development on the unceded territory of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, also known as North Vancouver. I'd like to welcome all of you here today for the third annual Purpose in Business Week. Purpose in Business Week is an annual celebration designed to generate national conversation and global awareness of the social purpose business movement. Held in November of each year, social purpose champions from all industries share their commitments to a social purpose, inspiring a shift towards a purpose-led economy. United Way Social Purpose Institute was established in 2016 in response to United Way BC business partners' increased desire to play a much greater role in creating positive social change with the United Way, in addition to and beyond traditional philanthropy. The Social Purpose Institute is an initiative supporting United Way BC's mission of creating healthy, caring, inclusive communities. United Way BC is uniquely positioned to foster social change through our deep understanding of local community needs and social challenges. With SPI's success, United Way has developed strong relationships with leading local and global purpose business experts, practitioners, and advisors. To date, we have worked with 50 businesses, over 200 business leaders across multiple sectors, taking them through a step-by-step process that supports their pivot to purpose. Which brings us to today's webinar, Purposeful Business Rapid-Fire Insights from Social Purpose Leaders. We are absolutely thrilled and delighted to welcome today's panelists, all of whom are alumni from the Social Purpose Institute's programs. Joining us today are Latha Sukumar, Executive Director and General Counsel, MCIS Language Solutions. Minto Roy, Co-Founder and Managing Director, Social Print Paper. Kiersten Guiseppi, Social Purpose and Engagement Strategist, BCLC. Trevor Burns, Senior Marketing Manager, Proclaim Group. Mengo McCall, Co-Owner, Finest Beans. And Kimberlee Alexander, Director of Marketing for Cool Air Rentals. Today, we wanted to showcase the breadth and depth of social purpose, including the varieties of sectors involved in purpose and the compelling reasons for their pivot to purpose. All of the business here today are at different points in their social purpose journey, because as we know, social purpose is a pivot over the long term. Just to level set, the definition of social purpose is a business whose enduring reason for being is to create a better world. This includes profitably solving the problems of people and planet while not causing harm to them in doing so. It is a company's optimal strategic contribution to the long-term well-being for all. So today's format is a bit unique. We've challenged our panelists to tell their purpose story in 6 minutes using 3 slides. Once we've gotten through all of the presentations, we'll open up the floor to questions. So, grab a piece of paper and pen, or I realize that's a little bit 1980s, or whatever you're using, and make sure to jot down your thoughts, observations, and questions for when we open up the event for discussion. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panelist, Latha Sukumar. Latha has been recognized as one of 15 lawyers in Canada who has contributed to further equality rights by the Women's Legal Education and Action Fund. In 2018, Latha received the National RBC Women of Influence Award in the category of social change. As MCIS's executive director since 1996, Latha has grown MCIS into a language services social enterprise, which provides a comprehensive suite of 50 different language services, including interpretation, translation, language testing, language consulting on strategy and technology and training. Latha, over to you.
Latha, you're muted. Sorry, you're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
That's so typical.
There we go.
So anyway, good morning, everyone, wherever you are, good afternoon. It's an honor and a privilege to be here and to share our learnings with you. Now, as Tessa mentioned, thank you, Tessa, for the introduction. My morning didn't start out very well. I ran out with sandals on and went all the way to the office and then realized I needed my socks and my shoes. Crazy stuff. Anyway, we are in Toronto. We provide, as Tessa said, interpreting and translation services, serving the broader public sector across Canada. And we were initially set up as a grant funding organization. So we are registered as a nonprofit and to help immigrant women in domestic violence situations access services. Now, we decided then to sell our interpretation and translation services to a wider group of people in need. So now all of about 90% of our income is earned. So this is just by way of background, right? We have 6,000 language professionals across Canada who provide services in 300 languages. Now, when COVID happened at MCIS, we got a lot of clarity around why we existed. As more and more people faced physical, mental health issues, unemployment, hunger, and domestic violence, overcrowding, it became clear the important role we play helping people. So people could not access food banks, for example, without interpreters being available on phone lines. So we decided to offer free phone interpretation. We realized the important role translation of documents played because a lot of people were receiving false information through various social media channels. So we translated official documents and posted them on our website and so on. So it was serendipity that the United Way program became available, and we were really grateful for it, and we decided to enroll to articulate our social purpose. So we knew we did great things, but we wanted to really get a sense of what we did and put pen to paper and articulate it. So we identified that involuntary migration of refugees, social instability, and the proliferation of false information were the basis for our cause. So with this in mind, with the guidance of this United Way program and Tessa and consultants, we were able to articulate our why. And our purpose now is to uphold the human right to be heard, informed, and understood. We also realize the need for human connections, and quite appropriately timed because of the rise of AI. Now, in order to get even clearer, we decided to then change our mission statement. So our mission statement is to advocate for language rights and equitable access to critical information and services through language solutions and human connections. And we changed our core values also in light of our new purpose to making a difference, compassion and collaboration, integrity and innovation, and social justice. Now, following that, we enrolled in the Social Purpose Implementers Program. And what we did, first of all, is we expanded the social impact team at our office in order to, so we hired headcount in order to lead this program. And we saw two things. One is internal alignment. So we decided that we needed to address three key challenges internally. One is to make decisions that are aligned with our purpose. So for this, we found the McCall Foundation's toolkit, and this provided us guidance to develop our social purpose decision lens. Now, with this lens, what we do is we consider language rights, social justice, financial stability, alignment with our values, and the appropriate use of technology to be key in ensuring that we made appropriate decisions that align with purpose. So here, with emerging AI, this becomes really important because we want to always keep the human in mind when making everyday operational decisions as well as strategic decisions. So decisions around automation and creation of intelligent learning machines, but also decisions with respect to which contracts we bid on and what's a no-go. Now, the second challenge that we had is our employee life cycle. First of all, we needed to attract the right people. So we updated our recruitment practices, and we've now seen great success attracting the right people. Here we post our purpose, we send candidates a short video of our purpose, and all new hires meet our social purpose team to learn more. Secondly, we have bi-weekly groups to discuss purpose with each of our teams, monthly town halls for the entire staff team, and various in-person and virtual activities such as scrapbooks, reading lists, games, etc., to weave in this theme. But we've recently also customized appreciative inquiry training sessions to create and inspire meaningful human connections. And this is a play on, the words AI. So in our office, it's meaning appreciative inquiry now. Now, the third challenge we had is decentralizing decision-making and to encourage growth and innovation among the entire staff team. So for this, we implemented several management systems, process, project, content, strategy, competency, and so on. And then we decided to increase capacity for a growth mindset with our people. And now we're intentional about engaging staff at all levels to empower them to make decisions which are aligned with our values and purpose. Now, with respect to,
I'm just going to let you know that the timer just went off, so we're going to have to ask you to wrap up fairly quickly.
I'm wrapping up. I'm on the last point.
Okay.
So what we've done now is the external alignment piece is we pegged our purpose to UN Sustainable Development Goals 3, 10, and 16. So the two ways in which we're measuring our purpose is first, we're doing an annual survey, and also we're providing UN Global Impact annual report on our SDG impact contribution with metrics. Just last point, we're working right now on continuing to develop robust social purpose driven organizational culture. As I mentioned, we're implementing a social purpose governance body, so to be aligned with the ISO 37000 standard for social purpose governance. And the third thing we're doing is rebranding to create a unified thread of our purpose in our enterprise activities. That's it.
Thank you so much, Latha. And now I'd like to invite Mengo. So Mengo McCall is co-owner of Finest Beans. With a sales and corporate sustainability background in manufacturing industries, Mengo found his passion in coffee and went to co-found and manage the Beanstalk Coffee Festival, Canada Hits Coffee series of sold-out industry festivals, and a specialized Ethiopian coffee importing business, Finest Beans, that he co-owns and manages today. In 2023, Mengo purchased Coffee Central Roasting, a cafe and shared roasting facility in East Vancouver, where he works with an ever-growing clientele of professional roasters. Mengo is a professional coffee consultant on contract for other organizations. Mengo, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so as Tessa just said, I co-own Finest Beans with Dereche Belechu. There you see us in the photo. We're an importer of Ethiopian specialty coffee directly from Ethiopia. We launched the business in November 22, and so far there's just the two of us. We don't have any employees. So what we do is we work directly in Ethiopia with a growing network of independent farmers and producers who grow the coffee and produce it. And we hunt for those hard to find, superb quality coffees. We buy them and we bring them back to Canada and we sell them directly to our network of independent coffee roasters. So that's in a nutshell what we do. But to summarize, we are a relationship-based business with both farmers in Ethiopia and coffee roasters in Canada. These direct relationships and directly connecting the coffee with the roasters is a crucial thing for both the growers and the roasters. In coffee, you call it traceability and transparency, and what that means is you can trace every single detail about the coffee and you're completely transparent about everything about it. What we're doing is we're eliminating middlemen in the supply chain of coffee. Coffee is normally bought and sold by big businesses using an international coffee trading model. And what that does is it drives prices down, and the people that suffer tend to be the farmers. They get stuck in a situation where they have to sell at a lower price. We do not do this. We pay fairly and then we sell fairly because we have these direct relationships. Next slide, please. For us, building the business with a structured social purpose framework from the get-go has enabled us to communicate exactly what we do. We're a startup, there's just two of us, so we weren't encumbered by existing processes and situations that our company is in. We could build it right from the get-go with our social purpose fully embedded in our business model. So there's our social purpose statement. We exist to advance coffee sustainably by directly connecting smallholder farmers with independent coffee roasters. Crucially, our stakeholders on all sides, the suppliers, which are the farmers, the customers, which are the roasters, and the industry that we're involved in with coffee associations, have all welcomed our social purpose. They all think this is exactly what we should be doing, and it's been good for us to implement this social purpose right at the beginning to enable us to communicate what we're doing properly. Final slide, please. So today we use our social purpose as the first thing we communicate to all stakeholders in our day-to-day activities. We will adjust and develop our purpose as we go forward. We also are looking for inspiration from others doing similar work. So that is something that's going to be an ongoing changing thing, but at the moment we really like where our social purpose is. And finally, our purpose journey has engaged and motivated us to further develop our purpose-driven business, which rings true with all of our stakeholders. So we're happy we started right at the beginning with a purpose-driven business. Thanks.
Mengo, you still have another 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Did you want to add?
Well, I went really quickly because I didn't want to go over.
Did you want to add anything? You've got 2 minutes, but if you don't, that's fine. We'll move on.
Well, I can just say that for anyone else starting a business, the idea of implementing your purpose right at the beginning is something I would highly recommend. The reason for that is because later on, you don't have to go back and try and change processes that are already in place. We found that, taking this course and implementing our social purpose right from the launching of the business has been fantastic for us. It's given us direction, and as I say, all our stakeholders really like what we're saying. So for those of you out there thinking of starting a business, I would highly suggest implementing that purpose right at the beginning, and that will guide you through it.
Perfect. Thanks, Mengo. All
You're
right,
welcome.
we'll move on to our next speaker, Kiersten Guiseppi, Interim Manager, Social Purpose and Engagement at BC Lottery Corporation. Kiersten has been a proud member of BCLC for nearly 4 years. currently supporting the role of interim manager, social purpose and engagement. Prior to joining BCLC, Kiersten held a decade-long career in the not-for-profit sector. Kiersten is a passionate social purpose leader, always learning and constantly seeking out new perspectives and ideas. Kiersten?
Thank you, Tessa. I might steal some of Mengo's time. We'll see how it goes. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much. As you saw in my bio, I'm the interim manager of social purpose and stakeholder engagement with BCLC. So BCLC is the only legal gambling operator in the province of British Columbia. But what I'm here to speak with you all today is about our social purpose and how we embedded it within our employee and stakeholder engagement initiative. So you heard Tessa note that a business with a defined social purpose is a company whose enduring reason for being is to create a better world. For us at BCLC, our social purpose is our North Star. It's the beacon that guides us, our decisions, our leaders, our employees, and in our everyday lives. So in order for us to define our social purpose, we undertook a number of very important steps to ensure that our purpose reflected our business and what we were looking to achieve. So that included surveys, workshops with stakeholders, discussions directly with employees. We conducted interviews with our players and the general public. We examined global perspectives. We, of course, engaged with our executive and board, and this was all to really gather that input and define and then ultimately approve our social purpose, which you're seeing on the screen, is that at BCLC, we exist to generate win-wins for the greater good. Next slide. So since defining our social purpose in March of 2021, I am proud to say that we've made some really incredible strides to embed purpose within our organization. What you're seeing here on the screen are the various ways that we've worked to action social purpose. So this is not in any specific order. Some of these are in progress, some we are still looking to embark on the initial steps, and some that we've actually successfully achieved. But really what this is meant to show you is all the ways that we've meaningfully integrated purpose within our organization. So I'll go in a bit of detail here. In the last couple of years, we've adapted our social purpose and sustainable procurement policy. So we brought on a manager of social and sustainable procurement to lead this work. What this means is that essentially we're giving employees the tools to make better decisions on the way that they procure goods and services. In terms of our employee experience, we've incorporated purpose throughout the employee life cycle. So purpose shows up in the way we recruit, the questions we ask in interviews, how we engage our employees, how we've modified an offboarding program. We've integrated purpose into, our annual development and personal objectives. There's a lot of different ways that purpose shows up in our employee life cycle. We commissioned 2 papers. The first focused on the ways that social purpose comes to life through the function of marketing, and the second, studying the ways that risk and audit leaders are supporting social purpose within their company. So both these papers provide best practice recommendations. So we in turn publish these papers. We work with folks at SBI to socialize this information, and we give it openly. We want to ensure that everyone has access to these insights and information regardless of their size. If you're exploring social purpose in your organization, we want to help you understand some of the ways and best practices you can do that. In terms of Indigenous reconciliation, one key piece to ensuring we're pursuing meaningful reconciliation was the hiring of our senior manager of Indigenous relations and reconciliation. So their role is focused on relationship building, strategic planning, consultation, et cetera, with Indigenous communities, BCLC employees, and associated stakeholders. We've created an ESG framework and policy, and what this means, so environment, social, and governance, is that we're aiming to support a more circular economy. We want to be climate change leaders. We want to better understand the social impact of ESG, and with all of this, bringing more focus and having more tactful actions under the ESG umbrella. And with our corporate strategy, it's our revised corporate strategy. Social purpose is weaved throughout the entire strategy, so it's very critical to the pillars of our organization. And we're also initiating the first steps of what we're calling our experience review. So we're focusing on our products and our player experiences to better understand how they can align with our social purpose. Next slide. So these are the two areas that I really want to hone in on today. Transformation to a social purpose company, of course, doesn't happen overnight. In order for us to really embed purpose, we had to first and foremost engage our employees within our social purpose. This was the most critical step for us embarking on the social purpose journey. So behavior change, we know, is only possible once we shift those mindsets and attitudes towards our social purpose. And that mind shift is only possible once people are aware and understand our social purpose. So in order for us to bring employees along in this journey, we developed an entire employee engagement strategy centered around small and focused social purpose workshops where all employees were required to participate to not only better understand what social purpose is, but also to brainstorm ways in which they could bring purpose to life themselves within their role. So over the course of 4 months or so, we facilitated around 100 workshops to all of our employees. And this was really to empower them within social purpose, foster ideation, encourage two-way dialogue. And it goes without saying, this was a really key step for us to ensure that we were guiding them on the journey from knowing to believing to owning social purpose. And so when we went through this, we also focused our attention to stakeholder engagement. In order to meet our strategic goal of creating meaningful relationships, we've also committed to approaching engagement with our stakeholders and First Nations titles and rights owners in new ways. So we want to be effective, collaborative, again, mutually beneficial and reciprocal relationships. And so we've reevaluated stakeholder engagement strategies and our goals, starting most recently with our approved stakeholder governance framework. So
Kiersten,
our board and management.
I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to give you Mengo's minute. So you have 1 minute.
Excellent. I can do it. Our board and management have defined our BCLC stakeholder engagement principles. We've produced an updated stakeholder list ranking our current and future stakeholders. We're exploring tools and technology to have better effective stakeholder engagement. We've defined our stakeholder engagement goals, and we've created we're creating a framework to really ensure that we're soliciting that feedback and engagement, maximizing our stakeholder value, again, and creating that opportunity for two-way dialogue. So it's really important, and I'll reiterate this again, that we're creating space for the voices to be heard both internally and externally. So to summarize, when you're embedding social purpose within your company, apply your lens to employees and stakeholders. This is first and foremost. It's incredibly important to make sure that employees understand social purpose, understand how it relates to them. We want to create a movement. You want to drive equity from within. You want to mobilize your employees and cascade your purpose then to your key stakeholders as well. When you're identifying your partnerships, your collaboration opportunities, and your shared goals, you're bringing those into your purpose journey, and you're creating ambassadors and effectively creating amplifiers of your social purpose and your brand as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, Trevor.
Oh,
So Trevor Burns is a senior marketing manager of Proclaim Group. He's a purpose-driven marketing professional with a knack for transforming branding boundaries. He uses his expertise to inspire and elevate those around him, nurturing a work environment that fosters innovation and success. His marketing approach, rooted in his strong family values, reflects his belief in every individual's potential for growth. This belief drives his actions, whether he's strategizing for a campaign, aiding a colleague, or shaping just brands. Over to you, Trevor.
All right, I was hoping to steal some of Mengo's minutes. I usually don't use scripts for these presentations, but I only have 6 minutes, so I'm going to read off my script. So my name is Trevor Burns. No, that is not me. That is our CEO, and I am the marketing manager of the Proclaim Group. I do want to agree with what Mengo said about starting your business founded on purpose, and if you do that, good things will come. So a bit about the Proclaim Group. It's the parent company to 9 brands across Western Canada. Our business landscape primarily encompasses the construction sector, including restoration firms and a couple flooring companies. This journey began in 1991 with our first flagship location, founded by our CEO, Tony Scott, not Dave Grohl. Our primary focus is on flood and fire restoration. So in our line of work, we're the ones who step in when disaster strikes, be it flood, fire damage, or sewage contamination, or even trauma events in a home or business. Our core business is to restore properties to their pre-loss condition. This brings us to our purpose statement, which is the bedrock of our operations and philosophy. Our purpose statement is that the Proclaim Group and our partners exist to help others in need by developing people, caring for the planet, building communities, and restoring homes. This, as others have mentioned, is our North Star and guiding principle. Almost every decision in our company can be viewed through this lens. So now let's talk about a bit about our journey in the next slide. So go down my script here. So our journey with purpose began a long time ago in 1991. So our business was actually founded on purpose when Tony Scott opened its doors, and he started his own company because he was sick and tired of how other restoration companies were treating their staff and were gouging insurance companies and homeowners. So his mission was to create a work environment that he was proud of, while also getting homeowners back in their homes quicker so their lives weren't as disrupted. Essentially, he wanted to reduce cycle times, get the insurance companies less money so that people could get back to normalcy. So throughout the years, Tony implemented a developmental management philosophy, which focused on treating people like people, something you really only began seeing over the past few years. He merged with another company that had a completely opposite culture, so shifting that was a challenge. In 2016, we started our journey with Climate Smart, now known as BMO Radical. This was something way beyond what the industry was ready for at the time. No one in our space was talking about it, or no one was fighting climate change. Now you see all these net zero commitments. In 2019, we started our journey of purpose. This actually started when Coro Strandberg gave Tony a presentation in his CEO group. And I actually remember when Tony came back from this because I've never seen him more excited or fired up. He called all the senior managers into a meeting, and as I like to say, he went all Tony on it. Just by listening to his passion, we knew it was the right thing that we wanted to do. Over the next few years, we grew, added a couple more companies through merger and acquisitions, and officially formed the Proclaim Group, what it is today. When we finalized our defining purpose in 2020, we only had implemented it at our flagship location, but after a year or two of being stagnant with it, the pandemic played a part, we decided to revitalize our purpose in all of our companies, and we joined the Implementers program. It was here that we helped transform our purpose to be spread out throughout all of our brands. And today we're helping elevate our industry because we are teaching our competitors on how to divert waste from the landfill and ultimately reduce their CO2 emissions. When we thought about whether or not we should do this, give away our trade secrets, when we viewed this decision through the lens of our purpose, it was a no-brainer. So now let's go through the next part where we'll talk about marketing communications. Okay, so now talking about marketing communications, the main point I want to make is this is going to sound super markety. It has to be authentically embedded on a holistic level throughout your entire organization. And I really like what Kiersten said there with your employees. Everything you do has to be in line with your purpose. Otherwise, your own staff won't believe it. We have a unique breakdown of customers and consumers. So our customers are actually insurance adjusters, executives, and property managers, where our consumers, our customers' customers, are the ones who use our services. Now, our customers don't give us work. Our consumers don't give us work, so it's important for us to create a multi-tiered approach to communications. We have to not only appease our B2B market, but also our B2C market at the same time, and one that doesn't really get much in return. We never put out a post that just is tailored towards our B2B market or insurance market. It has to also consider the homeowners in mind, and we have to build trust from there. Insurance and property management firms need to know that we're faster and give great customer service, and the homeowners need to be able to trust someone coming into their home at 2 o'clock in the morning when they have a pipe that burst in their home after they've lost everything. Now, sure, we can communicate this to external stakeholders, but the people enforcing our purpose, the people living it every day, are the staff. If we didn't market to our staff and remarket to them, then our purpose would fall flat. There's a reason why your employees started working with you. And if you don't remind them consistently, they're going to forget that. If it wouldn't get momentum and homeowners wouldn't trust us coming to their homes if they looked us up and it didn't reflect what we were saying. If they looked on our website and saw that, oh, we volunteer at the shoreline cleanup every year, but then they ask our employees about that and our employees can't explain it or defend it, then it's going to fall fail and trust is going to run short. So it has to be talked about with your staff in addition to every other channel of communication. And that's the only way you can look at it as a holistic approach. Whether you're running an event, you have to make sure that all of your materials are sustainable. You're not using plastic forks, plastic plates. It has to bleed through your organization authentically and holistically. And that's it.
Oh my God, you still have 16 seconds. Okay, well, I'll be able to give those 16 seconds to someone else. Thanks so much, Trevor. And Minto. Okay, so Minto is a co-founder and managing partner of Social Print Paper. Sorry, that's my alarm going off. With the vision of a world that never uses trees to make paper, Minto and his team work to advance the greater awareness and use of agricultural paper to support the paper requirements of industry, government, and academic institutions. Social print paper has saved millions of trees and reduced the release of millions of kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions. Minto has been recognized as one of Canada's top emerging immigrant entrepreneurs by the National Post and by Canada's Clean 50 as one of Canada's top 50 leaders in sustainability. Minto, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for giving us your time and attention today. Hopefully some of the insight we're sharing is relevant and applicable to support your organizations and careers. So our journey started about a decade ago. My business partner and I, Lee Guiseppi, we started to think about creating paper out of agricultural fiber waste. And we started to develop a paper called sugar sheet paper. We take sugarcane fiber after it's been used for juices, alcohol, biofuels, and sugars. And we take the remaining waste byproduct called bagasse fiber. We divert that from global landfills, and we started to make our paper out of it. But it was really important before we launched this, and I think all social purpose and or disruptive innovations need to consider that we didn't want to be a part of the cliche where, you know, sustainable products have come to consumers over the last 30 or 40 years and said, hey, listen, for the added value of social purpose or sustainability, you got to pay a lot more, you got to sacrifice quality and performance, you got to have disruptive procurement that you have to deal with. We wanted none of that. So we needed to make something that looked, felt, performed just like the incumbent product being used in the marketplace. And we needed to be competitively priced, and we needed to be as easy to procure. I think it's really important in terms of integration of things like social purpose and sustainability that you really consider how can you scale to make it as easy as possible for you to replace the traditional incumbent products out there that don't align with social purpose and or sustainability. So we launched sugar sheet paper about 8 years ago. Over the last 8 years, we're really proud to have a number of amazing organizations using sugar sheet paper, including the federal government of Canada, provincial governments, major universities like UBC, U of T, amazing social purpose organizations like Platinum Proclaim Group. Thanks, Trevor, for the love. And we did something, I think, really smart in the beginning, and I'd highly recommend this to anyone. And that's, we admitted to our stupidity and ignorance very quickly. And I remember telling my business partner, Lee, that, listen, I don't think we know much. Let's just jump into the communities we want to serve. So it really started with the volunteering, listening, learning, meeting with academic, government, industry, client groups that we wanted to work with, building a network, sharing ideas and best practices. That led to building a bigger network, that led to being able to, you know, flex a little bit of thought leadership, that led to speaking at regional, national, global conferences, serving on advisory boards, but, you know, making the commitment that we were not going to just lead with sustainability or social purpose, but we were going to actively participate in the communities and the clients that we wanted to serve. And that's been an important part of the journey. The audience, your customers, the stakeholders are extremely smart. I will echo what Trevor said. You've got to bleed your mission. The audience is too smart. The level of disjoints that exist in your organization cannot be there because it'll be showcased. And I think one of the big advantages that we've learned in our journey is that today we all sell commodities. I don't care what your product is right now. And the only way to customize your commodity is through values alignment and the new moments of time that you can create by integrating something like sustainability or social purpose as a part of your communication talk tracks, your touch point with your customers, and creating more value for your service and building more than a transactional relationship with your clients and your community stakeholders. Next slide, please. So the slide, I'll tell you, the slide's a lot of information on, but it was important that we didn't want to just bring the value of sustainability for social purpose. We needed to have commercial specificity. You know, what your ability to discuss social purpose or sustainability has to be also, it has to also encompass the ability to talk about how your organization can help the commercial benefits of any organization. So with our sugar sheet paper, we've been working with the Environmental Paper Network and all the provincial climate action committees and the carbon neutral committees across Canada. We've done independent life cycle assessments to showcase, in comparison to wood fiber paper, how sugar sheet paper can help organizations measurably reduce their carbon emissions just by transitioning their copy paper to sugar sheet. Furthermore, we know with carbon, a big agenda across all sectors, that a lot of our clients in government and education and soon industry will have to report their carbon emissions, and they're assessed a corresponding carbon tax levy. So now we've made sure that our clients who have to report their carbon can now reduce their annual carbon tax levies so that there is a commercial value as well as a social value. And I think it's important that when you're talking about integrating a value like social purpose and sustainability, that you might talk to a lot of people who have a policy alignment, but how are you helping them
Minto, I'm just going to
operationalize their
interrupt for
policy?
one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a Mengo minute.
Okay. How do you help them operationalize their policy? So how do you take policy to operationalize it? How do you help them measure it? How do you help them leverage it? How do you help them share it? All those items have to be a part of your communication to build more than a transactional relationship and add greater value than those organizations in your sector that cannot offer such a unique and values aligned benefit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And last but absolutely not least, Kimberlee Alexander, Director of Marketing for Cool Air Rentals. Over the past 2 decades, Kim has led sales and marketing teams within various sectors of BC's vibrant film and television industry, one of Cool Air's largest market segments. Kim supports growth objectives with her seasoned expertise, thoughtful leadership, and dedication to building company value across all served industries. All in an enthusiastic bid to further solidify Cool Air's position as a leader in temporary customized ventilation, heating, and cooling solutions. Thanks, Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thank you to Tessa and Lauren for including me on this panel. I'll try not to go into too much detail. I was preceded by some very esteemed social purpose alumni, so I'll try and give a brief overview of Cool Air and what we do. So why? I'll start there. Our social purpose. We really wanted to unify our organization. We wanted to provide a tool for succinct communication, articulating our efforts, such as intentional purchasing of used equipment when we can contribute to a circular economy process. And we're also a proud member of Climate Smart, Trevor right there along with you. We also use sugar sheet paper, Minto, by the way. We recognized that we had an opportunity to bring together our team and support our organization with behaviors that were already ingrained within our group. Our need for communication, we're in a significant growth period. We've had a 42% employee growth and 40% revenue growth last year alone. We've added two locations, Kelowna and Calgary, with further expansion plans in the works. And we're using this transition period to solidify our foundation through our social purpose statement, unifying our organization to step forward together. Through our client, Shandos Construction, and also fellow social purpose alumni, we were inspired to create our guiding light, our North Star, however you want to define it, to share with our stakeholders, firstly our employees, and then of course to our broader external stakeholders. And our president's mandate is to control your destiny. So here we are. And this is included our social purpose statement here. We exist to respond with innovative, sustainable solutions, safeguarding people, buildings, and the planet. Next slide, please. I don't have any fancy graphics like others. It's very, very simple. Just an overview of our journey. So we were introduced to Social Purpose May of 2022. We introduced this to our team, which as we were entering into the work, we recognized that there was some pushback within our organization and a natural resistance. And so we kind of discovered that our enthusiasm wasn't always shared, but this was a small portion of our stakeholder group. And then, of course, we recognized that this process was just the beginning, and that the impact was far greater than we actually anticipated and knew that we were going to achieve here. So right now we're in the process of actually doing the real work. The easy part is actually developing your social purpose statement. And we're now going through the implementation process, starting with actually redoing our mission and values. So we're taking it all apart and rebuilding it. So our company is 30 years old. So we didn't have the benefit of starting with purpose, but we're sure as heck going to try and we're going to bring it forward into its kind of new iteration of our company. And so we've chosen to be methodical with our implementation. We've chosen we want to implement our social purpose with purpose and thoughtfulness. So we haven't introduced this to any external communication. It's not on our website. We haven't incorporated it into all of our employee engagement documents as of yet, because we do really want to make sure that we come at it from a place of authenticity and with measures in place that we can reference moving forward. So right now we're working internally within our small leadership team to help push it forward when it's ready for prime time. Next slide. So moving forward, our benefits, we're looking to align our behaviors with a tangible, meaningful effort, further strengthening our company's culture and identity. We, of course, as ever, all of our fellow panelists have said, communicating with stakeholders, attracting team members, clients, partners, and most definitely becoming leaders in our HVAC community, which isn't necessarily known for having these types of missions in place. So I'm very happy and pleased that we hopefully get to take the big leap forward. We are looking to, like I said, be responsible and accountable for our actions. We want each team member to be empowered to do the same. This is not just a saying on the wall. It will be a state of being within our organization. And just actions. I encourage everyone who may be at this same kind of transition period of moving from a small to medium-sized business or what have you, look at the work that's already being done. And often I think you'll find that there are some inherent behaviors that can just benefit and be empowered by providing a little more of a structure around what is already being done, and just really further defining what the actions of the company and the purpose of the company is. I think I've myself have found having a social purpose as the lens has really truly changed decision making for the better within our organization, and I can't wait to share it all with the broader audience when we can. Thank you.
Okay, Kim, that was amazing because you are at exactly the time.
What, do I win a prize?
Yeah, I think you might have to. I don't know. That's great. Well, thank you to our panelists today for being up for the challenge of talking about something that is not easy to talk about in 6 minutes. And I think what you can probably see is that they were really, they had to drill down to the essence of their why and what the value is to their organization. So I would invite all of you to turn on your cameras. I'd love to hear thoughts, comments. Doesn't have to be a question. It can be whatever you would like to add to this conversation while we're all here in this room right now. I might not be able to see everyone's hand, so. Anyone?
I have a question for Kim.
Hi,
Go ahead.
Liz. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was wondering about the resistance that you experienced, because we also experienced resistance.
Mhm.
It was not kind of everybody on board. Our resistance had to do with like a strong association with Alberta's oil and gas industry. Where did the resistance come from in your case?
A lot, it was a bit of both employee of just not coming from a place of understanding the depths and the reason behind pursuing this as a thoughtful process. So that also, that reflects upon us in terms of our messaging and trying to communicate in a different way, which we are considering as we move forward with further implementation. So there's on one side, there's, kind of a little bit of an employee reluctance as to why is this important. And externally, it was just, for us, it was the lack of interest that we had, unfortunately, from some of our clients and our vendors. We're fortunate enough to have people like Shando's Construction who have just been incredible champions with this. But there's just certainly a level of not misunderstanding, just unwillingness to really take the time to integrate this as like, hey, this is something we all need to participate in. It's more of like, this isn't a level of this is not important to me yet. This is not a priority. So that's, again, that kind of gave us bigger reason as to hold on to our social purpose for this moment until we can really come up with our implementation and action plan moving forward to ensure that that messaging is met with openness and understanding.
Yeah, we've had more success in our association than we've had in our own value chain with using the social purpose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
There's just a comment from Timo, who just wanted to say that it's great to see the cross-pollination happening among the social purpose alumni. And I think, in truth, I think that this might be actually sort of an accidental pollination that we just discovered. And I think it's amazing. I think when you bring a community together, that there's so much more going on, I think, than you think. And so, and of course, as we grow social purpose in business, I think that's what we want, right? We want to grow this community of like-minded, values-led business leaders who support each other and partner and collaborate in each other's social purposes. So Shelley has a question for Trevor. Could you comment on business success growth before and after embedding a social purpose strategies? And others may want to weigh in as well. Great question.
Yeah, so we've always looked at doing purpose not for profit. Like we never did it to get more sales. We never did it to increase our revenue. It's almost an automatic product of that. And because we started our purpose journey from the very beginning, we've been very fortunate, because now our clients are starting to take notice and they are starting to change their day-to-day operations and how they evaluate their supply chain. For example, insurance companies are now committing to net zero claims. And the only way for them to do that is to reduce their scope 3 emissions, which is us for them. So because it's embedded in our purpose and we have all of our staff bought into it, it's easy for them to flick a switch. We're now their preferred vendor, and then they reduce their scope 3 emissions immediately. So it has helped us grow because we are innovators and ahead of the game. So instead of playing catch up, we're being more proactive on it. And I think everyone knows that this is where every industry is going. Everyone's going to demand things, whether it's sustainability, whether it's paying your people a living wage. it's going to be demanded by every organization. And the sooner you adopt it, the less catch up you'll have to play and the less capital investment you'll have to suffer, which is going to hurt your bottom line in the long run.
I just wanted to quickly chime in on this one too, more in relation to just film industry experience. This has been a conversation for production for the past 10 years. Conversations around greening production, how vendors impact the overall outcome of the client, whether that's living wage to whether greenhouse gas emissions. All those calculations and considerations are taken into account for vendor choice. And so that's been in place for quite some time. And now seeing that roll into construction and HVAC and other industries has been really, really refreshing to see. But yeah, I say, along with Trevor, I encourage others to get ahead. Because it potentially, in certain ways, it's part of the RFP process, or many different ways that this is showing up in conversations before contracts are committed.
Minto or Latha or
yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say that I hope I'm not muted.
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say that we were going from one RFP to another because we're a nonprofit and kind of bootstrapped. We don't get outside investment. And so it was like, what are we, doing? And so in order to develop a robust organization where people are really interested and inspired, the social purpose was really important. But we also recognize that it's important to make structural changes, that is to improve working conditions. So, to improve the wage to a living wage for the lowest common denominator, benefits, and so on. And this kind of has motivated us to ensure that people have meaningful work, that they can see the impact of the work that they do and also achieve professional growth. So all of those things have helped the staff feel inspired to help grow the organization.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Minto, I think you probably have something to say on this too.
Well, as an organization, we've led with social purpose or sustainability since day one. It's our core differentiator. But I think the one thing I'd suggest is that, and I often say this, we get involved in these forums, whether it's sustainability forums or social purpose forums. This is very much an echo chamber of confirmation and affirmation. We're all the converting here. So consider the communication strategies, your narratives, and how you discuss social purpose. The real benchmark of whether you're integrating or communicating your social purpose correctly are the people that are not converted yet. The people out there trying to keep their businesses open, trying to meet payroll, trying to keep their jobs during the pandemic, which is unstable. So we look at testing our communication and social purpose or sustainability strategies against those that are not converted, not often looking at the echo chamber as the benchmark for us. So we looked at, when any of our staff talk about social purpose, we look at what are their top 5 Q&A interactions during the week and help them customize Q&A so they have a much more, specific capacity to talk about the benefits of social purpose so that they can share it. So they not only are proud to be able to communicate it, but they can also, help engage those that are not on the same page and really add value. So just really taking a look at your communications and your daily interactions with your community of stakeholders and clients and say, how can I better this moment of time so that I can truly create value and share things that are valuable to those that are not converted?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd love also to hear from Mengo. You're obviously at a different stage in your journey, but what you see as the main sort of, I guess, business case for starting out as a social purpose company? And then Kiersten, I'd love to hear from your perspective as well. Mengo?
Sure. Yeah, well, for us, it's crucial. I mean, we're paying farmers a higher price, then we have to sell it proportionally at a higher price. So to justify that higher price that we have for our beans, we have to communicate why they're more expensive. And the whole reason is because it's direct trade with farmers and we're paying them what they should be getting for their beans. So for us, by implementing this purpose-driven business right from the get-go, it explains why we're charging what we charge, and it also provides the information that the roasters are looking for. So it's really part of what we do. It is what we do. We're not trying to implement a purpose strategy on top of an existing business. We're starting the business with purpose and explaining. So for us, it's the communication of it and the explaining of it. We involve all our stakeholders in it, and that's what our customers want. So I can imagine for other businesses, it might be a little bit different, where you don't have that scenario and you would have a harder time, especially with prices. I don't know if any of these companies that we're talking about with today have pricing affected, but we certainly do. So it is what it is, and we're finding success by doing it. So, with us, we had to implement a purpose-driven business right at the beginning to explain why and what we're doing.
Thanks, Mengo. And Kiersten, do you have any additional thoughts to that?
I'll jump in for sure. So we were not in the advantageous position to have had a social purpose. We've been in business for 36 plus years. So it was a very interesting process as we embarked on our social purpose journey. So in terms of the impact of growth and revenue, I don't know if we can speak to that directly quite yet, because we're still very invested in the integration stage. And part of that is going to be our products and our player experiences. I think once we start to do some more critical evaluation of how social purpose shows up in both our products and our player experiences, then we may see some impacts to revenue. But in terms of what this means long term, we held very firmly that being a purpose-led organization, and because there was a bit of misconception, I think, internally, was that the choices that you will make will affect your bottom line, and that could impact revenue. But what we've held very firmly on internally and having these conversations is that it actually gives you so much opportunity to assess how you facilitate your operations and how you show up in your products. So purpose is meant to spark innovation. It's meant to create more social capital. It's meant to engage your employees. It's meant to attract new employees. It's meant to engage your customers and attract new customers, right? So these are all really great ways in which we can talk about the positive social impact that we're working to achieve. And that in turn should translate to, more invested players within our products, players that better understand social purpose and want to participate with our products because of the impact that they're in turn making. So I think that we will eventually see some great return. We can't speak to that right at this specific point in time, but I think the investment that we're making in terms of internal and external engagement, assessing how we operationalize purpose, that's all going to translate very positively, both in perception and in return as well.
Thanks, Kiersten. And there's another question, Kiersten, we'll start with you, but I think it really applies to everyone, regardless of your size, whether you're a startup, and how do you maintain and continue that engagement and embedding social purpose as you grow? But the question is really for larger organizations as well. So this is from Karen. And the question is, I'm curious if you experienced any challenges, pushbacks when rolling out social purpose to all employees, especially given the size and scope of BCLC. And then the question for everyone is, how do you ensure employees continue to be engaged with purpose every day? We talked about this a little bit with Kimberlee, but it's a great question, because if it's not embedded internally, then it's going to be difficult, right?
Yeah, I love this question, Karen. Thank you so much. And just to be entirely transparent with you, when we did our employee engagement and we embarked on these social purpose workshops to our 1,100 plus employees, it wasn't 100% buy-in. We still have some skeptics within the organization who aren't quite understanding how purpose applies to the work that they support. How do they specifically in their role bring purpose to life? We're a very revenue-driven organization as well, so there's impacts in terms of how they direct their attention and what does this mean for them and the work that they're supporting. So absolutely, we had pushback in various divisions, departments within our organizations. And so in order to work through that sort of those challenges, we've really invested in a solidified communication strategy. And so this is throughout that process of engagement, but also now as we continue to engage employees. So what that means is, in collaboration with our communications department, we've just developed an entire social purpose communication strategy, both for internal and external. And I think a really important part of that is authentically telling the ways in which purpose is coming to life within our organization. So focusing on those employee stories first and foremost. We know purpose is actively coming to life in so many different areas in the organization, both small and large, but we want to tell those stories. How are they passionate about it? What is the work that they're doing? What is the shift they've made in their role? What is the impact that that makes to the organization and beyond? And so we've worked to create these very personal and direct stories that employees tell. So we videoed these stories. They're like an interview style setting. And we utilize these to communicate with our staff. So we then incorporate them into our daily Hive articles, in our employee sessions. Our executive, our board talk about these stories. They highlight these videos. We see them show up on our social, in our internal communications avenues. So we really want to ensure when we're talking about purpose, we're relating it back to those direct experiences, and we're making sure it's resonating with our employees. So when you're doing this engagement internally, absolutely, I think you'd be hard pressed to find an organization that doesn't have a little bit of pushback at least. But if you have a very solidified communication strategy that's built around that to very, again, authentically and meaningfully talk about purpose, and both what it means for the organization, the impacts, and how employees are directly supporting that, I think those are some of the ways in which you can challenge some of those skeptics and hopefully change perceptions and mindsets in the process.
Does anyone else want to jump in? Latha, Kimberlee, Liz, I know you're on the call, and Toby, you're also here. I'll
chime in there, actually, Tessa.
Yeah.
So one method that we do is we just simply ask our employees, how can we do better? If you don't believe in our purpose that we've stated, how do you think we can live our purpose more? When you do that, it challenges them to think, well, I can't. Okay, well, then how are we not living our purpose? It's got to be direct with your staff. And if they do get feedback, listen to them, actually action it. And if it doesn't work, tell them why. But one of the worst things that can happen is if an employee brings a great idea to you, you talk about it, and then you don't tell them why it didn't work. Because then they just think, oh, well, they're not developing people. They're not living their purpose. So just ask them the question straight up. How do you think we can live our purpose more? And what do you think we can do to propel our purpose forward? Or what challenges are you facing in the field? Like, just ask them the questions.
Well, I think it goes back to what Kiersten said earlier about that deep engagement that social purpose companies have to undertake all the time. That has to be operationalized, which is creating space for other voices always. Right? Those are your
just I actually want to tie this into an earlier question around procurement. I think our biggest challenge is from the finance people, because implementing social purpose also means improving working conditions and, ensuring that you don't exploit your employees. So it increases headcount, and that means that it hits the bottom line. Now, our problem, though, is that our customers don't want to pay more. Our, the public sector, who is our main customer, is always offering contracts to the lowest bidder. So given this lack of recognition for social purpose organizations, even within the broader public sector, we have a constant challenge. in terms of how do you implement purpose and then balance and remain financially sustainable.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to comment on that. So I think a lot of companies that are embedding social purpose or sustainability have a price challenge. You know, they might be a higher price. You know, often in my discussions with our clients, we're not the cheapest paper you could buy. That's the cheapest paper is not eco-friendly. It's made somewhere else on the planet. And, you know, we can't compete against giant global incumbents that have unlimited manpower, unlimited money. We can't do that. But, you know, when you take a look at embedding that concept of believing that price is the major hurdle, consider that when I talk to customers, you know, and price comes up and you think nothing in their offices, nothing in my office, nothing in my home, in the products that I look around at is the cheapest in the product category that I could have bought. So how did all the other things that were procured at a business in our homes overcome the barrier of price with us being the consumer or them being the consumer? So before we take the heuristic or the bias that I can't overcome price, it's being overcome in so many product categories. So I think we need to take a deeper dive on, again, how are you discussing the added value of social purpose? How is your capacity to help your clients or your stakeholders or staff operationalize it, measure it, leverage it, see the relevancy of it? There's the old saying, new information only becomes knowledge when you can relate it to something somebody already knows. How is your ability to relate your value of social purpose to something somebody already knows? And specifically, how is it commercially viable for them to benefit and socially benefit? So if there's so many examples where price has been overcome, how can we sit back and go, we can't overcome price? Just a bit of a question that we need to ask ourselves, I think. Thank you.
Anyone else want to join in? Okay, I just want to say that there's a comment in the chat from Smita, and this is what you were chatting about, Kiersten. We do not have a linear workforce, and therefore including diverse perspectives and life experiences in co-designing a social purpose is critical. We provide disability support services, and we are strongly advocating for this alongside you. So I'd love to hear from you about, you know, what have been the greatest obstacles and what have been the greatest opportunities for you on this journey? Because we know that, you know, we know it is a long time shift, and it has to be very intentional and incremental as you do that work. And so I'd just love to hear the joy part. You know, what is it that really, you know, your why, and what has really sort of fueled that ongoing commitment? And then what have been maybe some of your pain points? And because I see Mengo, I'll just go with you first.
Yeah, sure. You know, pain points, we haven't had as many because we're a new company. So it's not like we're trying to change the culture of a company that it's been in existence for a long time. But certainly, you know, communicating the message to all the stakeholders has been a challenge. You know, how to communicate it effectively. How do we tell people this is essentially what we do? We're still working on that, and we're getting better at it. And our stakeholders are starting to have opinions on it, which is really good. So the process of taking everyone's opinion, including our stakeholders, which are customers and suppliers, and integrating them into one understandable, smooth thing is currently our challenge. But it is still overall being accepted by all of our stakeholders and in fact encouraged. So not too many pain points, but how to communicate it properly is the thing we're working on, and that's a constantly evolving thing.
Great, thank you. Kimberlee?
Well, I think joyfully, just the excitement of having this as a great package for us to promote internally and externally, and finding a way to message our efforts in a clear, succinct manner. And just the excitement of aligning with, you know, UN sustainability goals or whatever method you choose, like just really spending the time and understanding how we can, as, you know, a privately owned business in the HVAC community, impact others and inspire others. Pain point, I mean, it's myself and our president who are moving forward with this. So, you know, our workforce is quite, for these kind of dedicated efforts, is quite small. So ensuring that we keep pushing it up the priority ladder while putting out the day-to-day fires, it can sometimes be very difficult. So we have to, we're constantly reminding ourselves to come check back in and see how we're moving it forward. You know, so that part I would say has been our largest challenge of, you know, I would love more than anything to have Kiersten on my side and bring us along. And, you know, so being connected with like-minded businesses is definitely helpful, and will keep us moving the train forward. We're just at a slower speed than I would prefer.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I think that, you know, a lot of times people are already doing more than they think, and celebrating those wins, and really pausing and saying, okay, so what have we done, and leaning into that, because often you've done more than you think you have, but it does feel, when you look at the journey ahead, it does feel sometimes long. So I understand that.
And it can be something as simple as just an effort of choosing a better source of paper, or you know, encouraging your staff to commute. You know, the baseline of efforts is quite vast, and yeah, encouraging those to just ask and look around and see what actions are happening. I mean, our procurement strategy, we have 70% of our inventory is used. And that's just how we've always done it. We have a full team here to support and keep all the equipment updated into code and things that we need to do from a regulatory standpoint. But we've never retired a piece of equipment, which is pretty incredible. I'm super proud of that. That has nothing to do with me, but I get to be the messenger about it. But I think that, you know, just that alone of just helping synthesize those efforts through social purpose is amazing.
That's awesome. Latha, I'd love to hear from you. We're heading toward noon, so
we always had a service that was, you know, meant to provide, to help people. So we had a just cause, which was inclusive and so on. But we were always focused on surviving from one proposal to another and winning on bids. So our original vision and mission were sort of broad, but very vague. And so they didn't inspire. And with our social purpose, we now have a vision for possibility, dignity, and empowerment. We have many more complex discussions and discourses within the organization, and people are very excited to innovate. So we've gone from being a broker of a service more to a subject matter expert, a language consultant, and so on and so forth. So that shift has made us really aware of the kind of difference and impact we make, and we're able to measure it in a very intentional way. The pain point is the increase in the unit cost and the fact that we bid in a very competitive environment, and it's the public sector that's procuring these services. They're trying to save money for the taxpayer, and they're not taking into account purpose within an organization when they select, which one to award a contract to. So that constantly remains a challenge. And so we are advocating, as Minto said, for a relook at criteria before selecting successful bids. So that's the ongoing work that we have to do and continue to advocate for.
Thank you, Latha. And Kiersten, last thoughts on the joy and the pain, which I will call this section now.
Yeah, no, I love this question. And honestly, there's been so many opportunities to celebrate along this embedding journey within our social purpose. For me, a really positive experience has been watching employees around the organization in so many different roles embrace purpose and integrate it thoughtfully into the work that they're supporting and bringing forth new ideas for us to explore. And so just seeing that joy and that enthusiasm has been so incredibly rewarding. I have one of our social purpose ambassadors within the organization also participating. So to bring this network of really committed and passionate employees to help bring purpose to life within BCLC has been such a pleasure to really watch and see that evolution over the last couple years. A challenge would be we're a crown corporation, so there's some, challenges that accompany that and trying to move and progress certain initiatives forward. There's lots of roadblocks that happen along the way. So navigating through that has been an interesting experience, to say the least. But we are on the right direction. I feel so passionately about the work that we're doing and the positive impact that we will have moving forward within our organization and quite frankly, quite beyond. So it's really important for me to stay on course and as part of this work because I just see so much potential. We're really only scratching the surface. So it's very exciting to just know what's in the future and on the horizon for us.
Great, thank you. And Trevor and then Minto.
One thing that's been the best outcome of becoming a purpose business and implementing it in our company is employee attraction. We work in the construction sector, so finding staff should be really hard. Fortunately, we've never really had that problem. Since we integrated purpose into our job postings on our website and our digital media platforms, like Kiersten said, if you have a consistent and strong purpose marketing and communications purpose strategy, you're going to attract the right people. And the best part about when you attract the right people, they're automatically bought into your values. If you have somebody come into the organization and you have a really janky website and it doesn't communicate who you are, you're going to have a really hard time finding qualified candidates. But if they already align with your values, then they're going to jump in feet first and they're going to be ready to go. And they're going to also help retrain some of your legacy staff. So if you, from the very beginning, you put in job postings, you put in your external communications, you will attract the right people and your turnover will eventually go down.
And your joy and your pain point?
Honestly, the pain point for us was checking that we were actually doing what we say we were doing.
Yeah.
It's reevaluating your supply chain. So reducing your profit margins a little bit to make sure you're using a sustainable vendor. Or it was just the hardest part was just checking ourselves and not ordering from Amazon as much as possible because it's so cheap. But that was the hardest part.
Yeah. And I mean, if we had more time, which we don't, one of my questions was, how do you ensure that you're authentically embedding social purpose and what does that look like? And that is definitely a very key and critical question, I think, for all. It's an opportunity and it's also a risk, right, for businesses doing this work. Trevor.
I would say to authentically do it, you honestly just have to try. It doesn't have to be a success. You just have to try. Just try to do something. Make the effort, and then that's when you're authentic. If you're just forcing it, it's not going to just try.
I think that's great advice. And Minto, I'd love to hear from you as we creep towards noon.
I think the biggest challenge that we encountered is how incredibly hard and how much effort it is to absolutely sell or supply the obvious. I believe that most people, they'd rather use agricultural landfill waste to make paper versus cutting down a tree. Yet still today, 3 million trees a day are cut down every single day in North America to make paper and packaging. It shouldn't be this hard. And often I used to get home every single day and tell my wife, why is it so hard to sell the obvious? But, you know, once you take off those rose-colored glasses, you realize therein lies the business opportunity, because without all that dysfunction out there, there would be no opportunity. So thank God there's so much dysfunction in the world that therein lies our business opportunity. So we took off our rose-colored glasses and realized, okay, what are the real challenges and how do we customize our strategies to overcome them? And that's been an incredible journey, you know, that has put us in touch with so many incredible leaders, such as SPI, but also in industry, government, academia, but meeting amazing leaders like Trevor at Platinum Pro and working with people like Kimberlee and Kiersten at BCLC, but just the community of people that are ready to share ideas, new best practices, develop. There's no lack of abundance in this community of mindset, which is amazing. And I think as we all go through that self-actualization, you know, we all remember that the best advantage is, you know, we've got talent, drive, we've got support. What a waste if all we do is chase money with it, you know, and it's an amazing experience to get up every day and go chase something that matters more than just money.
You know, what I think is, you know, sometimes we live in this crazy world, as we all know, and we don't need to dwell on that. But I think, you know, the fact is that these kinds of forums connect like-minded people who are all doing work to not only transform their businesses, but their sectors. And I think that is what makes social purpose so powerful. It is an incredible vector for change. So I think, you know, if we can double, triple, grow the purpose economy, then we can really create, I think, a world that is so much better for people and for planet. I just want to say one last thing. It's Eliana who's written something here in the comments, and she said, we need to work around the legislation piece, similar to the UK Social Value Act, that will embed our social purpose efforts into procurement of public services. At the municipal, provincial, and federal level, how can we organize ourselves effectively to mobilize around Canada-wide the Social Purpose Value Act? I think that's a great, big, hairy, audacious goal that I love. Eliana from MCIS Language Solutions. That's what we're here to do, really reach as far and as high as we can in driving impact in the ways that we can as both individuals and as businesses. So we've got 2 minutes left. I thought we'd have way more time, but there's so much to talk about in this space. So I'd like to thank all of today's panelists. I think, you know, you're a mighty group of business leaders who really are, you know, leading the way and helping to build a social purpose economy. At its very fundamental part, it's helping to make the world better for people and planet. And, you know, a big thank you to all of you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to join in this important conversation about building a better, more equitable and sustainable world for all. I can't help it. I'm seeing messages come in, and now I'm going to, now I got to read them. So just thanks Social Purpose Institute and all the panelists for an informative, inspiring event. Great, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I think this has been, I think, a great opportunity. I love the challenge that we gave you to do this in a very short period of time, but it just shows you can really, I think, drill down to the essence of people who believe that they can change the world through their business and through their sectors. So thanks all of you for joining. Please continue the conversation for Purpose in Business Week using the hashtag Purpose in Business Week. We're very active, particularly on LinkedIn. If you are not subscribed to our newsletter, please do that. And find us on LinkedIn. There's lots going on there as well. And thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.